Hello and welcome to another presentation for Dear One Schools Trainings. So in this presentation today, we're going to focus on the Dear One's Assistant Director role, which is very much so important after the Director and standards within, and that emphasizes on what excellence leadership should look like and operation truly looks like. As an assistant director, assumptions might be that I'm going to have a sit-down desk, I'm going to just flip some pages and maybe here and there answer a phone call and greet the parents. It is much more than that. Your role is central to maintaining smooth daily operation, and that is a lot of work, guys. Everything and anything comes in that. Supporting your team member. Do you know how hard it is to support adults? Oh my gosh. Then be there for the children. The training aspect of that, ensuring professional, ethical, and high quality leadership across the organization. That includes every single pinpoint subject topic, anything that it comes in this, okay? And then today we'll also explore the expectations, standards, and best practices, some common sense, and also that defines strong leadership with Dear Ones, including professionalism, respect, compliance, task management, and continuous growth. By the time you're done with this session, you will understand clearly what it means to lead with integrity, guide teams effectively, and contribute to a thriving, positive workplace culture that you also end up enjoying since all the tasks are met. So today's agenda is going to cover so much more than what's listed here. In depth, I will probably add some take on my personal experience, day-to-day observations, and whatnot. So the more core of the subjects that we'll be touching base today is core responsibilities of you as an assistant director, professionalism in the workplace expected by you on daily basis, respect for staff and your superiors from you on daily basis, compliance and ethical standards, task management and multi-skills, continuous improvement, and professional growth. Core responsibilities of the assistant director: supervising the daily operation. What does daily operation mean? Daily operation is you need to know, well, first of all the handbooks, employee handbooks, parent handbooks, because only then you can reinforce the policies for everyone. And that is when you're going to be able to supervise the daily operations, which is from opening to closing the centers, the classroom operations, the office operations, greeting the parents that comes in, doing the tours, all of those things, answering the phones, and then the team performance, which is also comes in your task. You need to make sure that all teachers are doing their job. They're in compliance with standards. They're in compliance with TRS, the NEC, the EFS. You want to make sure if there's something that they are crossing boundaries with, they're not doing their job. You need to then make a note of that and communicate that with your directors. Coordinating with directors and leadership. That is where you sit down. So technically, make sure you have 30 minutes a day to sit down with your director. Just go over, hey, this is what I'm noticing, something wrong with the school, this teacher, this classroom, this parent, this child, and or hey, let's go ahead and focus on this. Can we get maybe math curriculum in there or something like that along those lines, like something to help your center grow. Supporting strategic planning and implementation. This is where you would sit down with the director to have that planning time and then how to implement it in your classrooms. So that would be that 30 minutes requirement. Supporting daily operations and team performance. Well, first of all, assistant director plays a pivotal role in overseeing the daily operations because your desk is in the front. You're the face of the Dear Ones. So first of all, just make sure that you are presentable, you are professional looking, you are in compliance with your dress code policy, and overall, you are there prepared mentally and physically to greet and answer any question of theirs, okay? To ensure smooth functioning of the organization. When you have all of the above, you're obviously ready to help with the organization's, great start. This will include setting the performance benchmark for teams. So basically setting examples, lead them by examples, and or if they're out of compliance, then hold them accountable. So when someone walks in, I right then and there make sure that I acknowledge, hey, parents, okay, let's go ahead and sign your child in because they forgot to sign in. Or teachers, when they're clocking in 5-10 minutes early, or they're not in dress code, or they didn't turn their cell phones in, I would be right there to remind them. I'm at the front desk. I'm working as an assistant director myself at times since this is what my part of the duties are. So you need to do the same thing for your time being in that chair. Monitoring workflow efficiencies, basically making sure that how many teachers we have, in which classroom, what are the ratios, are they working, observing whether you have cameras or you don't have cameras. But so that means you just need to walk the hallways a little bit more. You need to make sure you are proactively just observing and providing any kind of coaching or teaching that they need. Studies also show that effectively daily supervision can increase productivity by up to 20%. So if you as a director are not supervising your teacher staff, they're going to solely depend on you because you're not training them. You're not holding them accountable. So you need to supervise your staff. Whenever I'm in office, I make sure that I glance at the cameras, know where the kids are, where the teachers are, what are they doing in the meantime, especially when they're outdoors and during nap times. You want to make sure nobody has fallen asleep, things like that. And then whenever I see that something is wrong, I would actually take time to go in so I can coach them for that. And that is when I see the improvement in the team. So I'm very involved director. That is how you should be. Improve employee morale significantly. Whenever I am coaching them, I am becoming their teacher in the moment. And if they're teachable and they learn from me, and if that helps them, they will have significant positive morale. Their vibe will be positive. Make sure you're not just saying, hey, you didn't do that right, let me coach you on this, but then also do point out some good things as well. Regular performance assessment and real-time feedback mechanism will also help your staff align the team efforts with organization goals. So if you did the regular performance assessments, or you just even walked in and just said, hey, great job, by the way, yesterday's circle time was great, that right there would actually encourage them and help them meet the, your organization's goals. So just make sure that you are setting those performance benchmarks, you are being prepared, you are being proactive, you're boosting productivity and morale by encouraging your staff and performance assessment and feedback. Coordinating with directors and leadership. Coordinating with higher leadership is very essential. It is to align all classrooms parental conversations together and make sure that we're all on the same page. For example, when I open the store or I open the center, I make sure that I am recognized, I am visible for the parents. Make sure that you are present in the front. If you hear a door and if you are not in the front, run for it, because you want to make sure that you catch that person. Should that person have any question, concern, the first thing that is probably going to be said, well, when I walked in, nobody was ever in the front, so that's why I didn't get to communicate with you. I just want to make sure we do our part so there's no room for errors on our side. Okay. So be present so people can actually communicate with you. So anytime there's a communication, so a parent comes in, I'm asking for their tuition, why the child is late, or how is their child doing, what extra measures that you want us to take. For example, today a parent wants me to apply chapstick on their child's lips throughout the day because it's chapped. So, okay, all right. So how am I going to communicate that and make sure that is also documented? I would start an email with my assistant director or director, and I would just go ahead and start and put all of those in there. I will also include if a teacher has been late. I will also include if a teacher actually didn't come in with proper dress code, or she violated some sort of whatever. If a parent had objection, if a parent complained, if a parent brought any kind of supplies out of the norm, which is not the diapers and wipes, kind of like a Valentine's or something, I would list that in there as well. If you have any other extra suggestions or observation, like say, for example, in the morning, it's getting chaotic, that we have a full class by 7:30, I would also put that in there so that would help your director or assistant director to help with scheduling. Does that make sense? So that is how the communication goes a long way. A parent will take that as, oh my gosh, they're on top of that. If anything, a parent comes to me and says that how we don't work on our communication skills, I'm actually turning around and saying, actually, I would like to correct that because we're overly communicating at this point. And I say that with 100% confidence. So good job for that. Communication bridge. This is where you need to make sure that you are staying in touch as you are facilitating the communication with your directors. You are the resource and you're sharing those resources to your director and staff. And you are making sure that you're collaborating with your management to solve those issues and problems between teams and leadership, okay? Organizations such as ours with streamlined coordination will report 15% higher project. So if you are doing your part in communication and you're coordinating with your directors and leadership, you will see the growth. If that is not happening, you will then also see the decline as well. And trust me, I've witnessed it both. And it does have a huge impact in childcare. Structured meetings. Make sure your meetings are structured. Sit down with your director at least once for 30 minutes a day. Talk about what needs to happen, what is happening, and what needs to change. That includes everything and anything in the classroom and in the front and in office. Okay. All right. So just make sure that you are having those structured meetings, you're reporting those frameworks, you're all aligned and being on the same page. Supporting strategic planning and implementation, assistant directors contribute significantly to strategic planning by providing operational insight that inform feasibility and resource requirements. So for example, yes, we all have director, assistant director, and if you have a person in charge and or even a curriculum director, all of us will have A to Z tasks that we need to do. But you need to know that in childcare, it is an unpredictable environment. So there will be many tasks that will just happen on that day. So you need to make sure that how to navigate through those. Okay. This is where your strategic planning and implementation comes in. You need to make sure that you have the operational insight critical for assessing strategy, first of all, feasibility and resources. So make sure you know that. Then you also need to make sure that you provide high-level strategies into clear and actionable plan to drive effective implementation. You need to make sure that you go by priority. You need to make sure what needs to be done first and that sort of a thing. Know that working under pressure is required for this position. It's not about how personally you can or cannot handle the stress, but we all need to work together on this one. So I myself, I work as a owner. I work as a executive director, providing resources, advice, guidance, and or even hold others accountable. Then I also work as a director. So now with the director itself, I wear tens and 20s of hats at times. I'm also a trainer for my whole school, basically saying that I have multiple hats, correct? Now you may see 2, 3, 4. I see many, okay? But at the end of the day, my job, I know that I need to get things done. So what I do is I make sure that I have a strategic plan. I try and make sure that I go by priority. If something is due, or I need to make that my priority first. Customer comes first, always remember that. So therefore, whatever you're doing, drop everything. Just make sure you are reaching for that customer, which is your parents. You're greeting them, acknowledging them, and then moving back to whatever that you were doing. If you have a tour, pop-up tour, whatever, make sure you're giving them respect because that is what pays our bills. And if we turn them around, we don't give them the respect, we're not going to have none, right? So that's how we go. So that is your strategies. You need to have strategies. Your plans need to be actionable. Monitor your own performance. There's no shame in that. Make sure you see how much you have grown. If you followed all the trainings and policies, I will tell you sometimes working under pressure will actually polish you to become a successful person one day. That is how that works. Looking back when I first started opening those daycare centers, I can tell you there's so much growth in me. And sadly, I didn't have anyone to really guide me, teach me, coach me on daily basis like you guys have me for that. But what I've learned myself from error and I've learned from it. And I'll tell you that it has really polished me. I am so much more, yes, I've lost a lot of personal, like smiles, and I'm not as like I wouldn't let people slack a little because that's just not who I am. It's made me stricter, but it also made me more knowledgeable, more confidence in what I do. And I hope you guys can thrive one day as well. Facilitate teamwork. Always make sure you're encouraging teamwork. You need to see who's not working. If I see a teacher sitting down doing absolutely nothing, I will step in and I'll say, hey, do you not have anything to do? Hey, lead, why don't you go and have a sit down and see if we can switch the spots? Remind them we're here to do teamwork. Okay, regardless of what position you are in, no lead's supposed to be sitting down all day, no assistant's supposed to be sitting down all day, no director or assistant director is supposed to sit it down all day. We're supposed to have mobile offices now, so make sure that you have a mobile cart, mobile desk ready. Take some work with you. You can work while you're observing, but also providing coaching. If anything, you're also engaging with that teacher briefly, guys, not gossiping or anything or having a whole blown conversation. Briefly, what I mean by is just literally talking to them about, hey, you can do this in your classroom or that.
Assistant director role in depth. One of the first things that you will be responsible for is staff to child ratios at all times. You want to make sure that every classroom has enough ratio. You need to train the staff on what the ratio is. So if they have, say, an infant classroom, 12 children, and if they don't know the ratios, if we haven't taught them, then they're not going to tell you that they're over ratio, and that will be out of compliance and it falls on us. So staff to child ratios and supervision requirement. If we're not supervising staff, we're definitely not seeing that if they are supervising the children. So it is a full circle. So you need to know it starts from us. We have to lead by the examples, and we need to make sure that everybody is providing proper supervision at all times. We, as an assistant director of management administration, needs to know where all the classes are. If they're going outside, they are to announce Adventure Cup's going outside to outdoor play, 9 kids. One of those guidelines, right? So you also need to make sure that they are taking a walkie-talkie, a way of communication with inside. God forbid if there's an emergency, you have no way of reaching out to them and they have no way of reaching out to you, and they can be yelling all they want in the back. So you want to make sure that you can get to them whenever there's an emergency in timely manner. Health and safety protocols, we need to make sure that we pretend being a licensing, so whenever we're walking around, we are making sure that everything is safe, everything is child-proof, there is no broken pieces, no choking hazards in the classroom. Teachers are okay to buy their supplies, because I know some passionate teachers would buy supplies for their classroom. Make sure they run it through us so we can go ahead and scan them for anything that cannot be involved in the classroom. Say, for example, if infant room brings Play-Doh, we want to make sure that we teach the teacher that Play-Doh is something we cannot have in this classroom, but let's go ahead and have something else instead. So we need to just make sure we scan it for safety reasons. Health, make sure the teacher are following all the right protocols regarding the health of themselves as well as children. Washing hands, are they washing hands? Are they disposing gloves properly? Are they potty training them properly? Are they sanitizing the activities and toys, the tables, the chairs, all 9 yards in their classroom on daily basis? Are they vacuuming the carpet? Are they sweeping and mopping correctly and thoroughly? If they don't, then we need to observe those, and then we need to know that that's the teacher we need to train. We need to also make sure the licensing documentations are all filled out correctly and thoroughly by whoever needs to fill them out, whether it's employees, parents, or us. We also need to make sure that licensing is reinforced all throughout the center, which includes the parents as well. Never be afraid to reinforce a rule, regulations, policies to a parent, because that is where the discipline really starting to break and fall apart, and you can either make or break a center by not being in compliance. Some of your administrative duties would be to see the daily operations, which is to make sure that you see that everybody's coming in on time, all dressed up. And these are just really glancing, just it doesn't really require a whole lot of time, but you just need to be aware of your surroundings, okay? Everybody's turning in their cell phones. It needs to be on vibrate. Everybody have turned in their curriculum. Everybody have gotten their time to send out their weekly communication. Everybody's using the daily log. And these are all us just overlooking at it. And Brightwheel compared to ProCare has really made that easy for us. Make sure that all employees are following the center policies, no harsh punishments, positive redirection, and all this. Assistant staff scheduling and coverage planning. So if somebody calls out the lunch coverage and whatnot, we need to make sure that how's that going to happen, okay? So we need to plan that out. You also need to maintain the accurate records for licensing and inspections. This is something the director really also can see, but if you have extra time, then you can go and manage that as well. But your director is technically supposed to see that. But you can also help your director if she's falling short as well. You also need to make sure that when you are scheduling the staff for the lunch breaks and stuff, they are doing their job when they are in the classrooms. We need to observe them, supervise them, and then coach them again. You are also responsible for training the staff, and that is very crucial because majority of the time your director is occupied with the other directorial duties and compliance, and therefore that leaves you to run the show. So since you're running the show, shouldn't you know how to train a teacher, a staff member, so you can hold them accountable? But if you didn't even invest in training them, you don't even know how to train them, how are you going to hold them accountable? It comes in a little bit of a, let's say, hesitation part on your side. So you need to work on it. The more you do it, the better it's going to be. I remember my first time having to coach and train a group of people, and it was nerve-wracking. But over time, it doesn't bother you anymore. So practice does make you a better person. So you need to learn to adapt and change and make sure that you understand the importance of training a staff member so you can lay out the expectations, so you can hold them accountable. And to be honest with you, when teachers are trained, when the expectation is there, they will meet it. Okay, that will also help you with the turnover. So you need to make sure that staff understands the policies and procedures, and you obviously don't have to do that with every single day. Let's go sit down with a handbook. No, all you need to do is make sure that they're in the classroom. If you see something wrong, you're actually addressing it right then and there. You're correcting them and telling them, should you have any question, come back and see me, but it's in your handbook. And then I will see if I can look into it and give you a page number or whatnot. You can go extra mile that way if you want to. Whole training sessions. You can do mini one-on-one training sessions with your teachers. You can go in the classroom and observe them while you cut those papers, laminate those papers, so that way your work also doesn't get behind, but you can multitask like that. And then you can go ahead and observe the teacher that you just trained to see if she is doing everything to the T. And then you can also include any kind of staff alignment, observation, assessment in that meeting if you want to. Address any performance concerns during that meeting and ensure that you hold them accountable. And let them know accountability is never a shameful thing. It is just a documentation of here's the area that you need to work on, here's the area where you lack, here's me as your director going to come in and coach you and teach you. It depends on how you want to perceive it. Parent communication is also our responsibility. Make sure that you are responding to parent inquiries professionally and promptly. They come first. Without our inquiries, without our new parents, we're not going to be nowhere. That's what pays our bills, okay? So if you got a pop-in tour, drop everything that you're doing, okay? If you don't have anybody else to pick it up, you'll get back to it, okay? Give them the respect, make it sound urgent, handle that tour, okay? Make sure you are checking your Brightwheel messages. Make sure teachers are replying to those messages accurately and professionally. If there's any question for us, you need to inform them promptly as well. Ensure compliance with parents' rights and notification requirements. So make sure that we have all the parent board posters available for them. Should they have any question, you can educate your parents on that as well. Be prepared and know the answers beforehand. So be proactive, and the only way you can know all of that information is by being proactive and knowing your resources, which is your handbook's minimum standards. Assist in resolving the concerns while maintaining the trust. It doesn't matter if it's with parents or staff. You need to not bring your personal feelings into it. Just make sure that it's not about you, not personally about you. It's the assistant director, right? You need to make sure just you handle whatever the case might be professionally and build the trust, okay? Curriculum and child development is also our responsibility. We need to make sure that every single classroom is doing their curriculum. We need to also train them on curriculum, and I know in March we're going to be covering that for everybody, so there's no excuse after that. So everybody will be trained on that, how to create a curriculum. The curriculum we use is CLI Engage curriculum. That is going to ensure that educational programs will meet the developmental standards in our school. It'll support the teacher in implementing the age-appropriate activities and monitor classroom environments for quality and engagement. One thing that you cannot go wrong with teaching teachers is if they interact alone all day long with their children, whether they're playing games, asking them to do something like touch your head, touch your nose, things like that while they're changing a diaper or something, you will have less incident reports, less chaos in that classroom, and that classroom has structure in it. You need to make sure that you don't feel shame. You are to greet the staff and team members, okay? You're the front, you're sitting in the front, you're the face of the daycare. I myself, when I sit in the front, I don't care who it is. If it is a staff member, it is a parent, it is a visitor, it is even a child, I will always say, good morning, my friend, or good morning, mom or dad, whatever. It's hard for me to memorize everybody's name, so that's where I'll give you the grace. So just go ahead and say, good morning, how are you? How's your day going? Oh, you look cute today. Hey's my friend. I see my friend there. Things like that. Just make sure that you try to make that first impression for everyone welcoming, because first impression is the last impression. Remember that. Some of the kids that have hard drop-offs, that greeting might mean a lot to them. Some kids get used to, hey, I need my hug, or I, want to play with my dinosaur or something. You get to know their routine, so parents see that you're building their trust with their child, and they will give you their trust in exchange. Maintain a positive tone at all times. Your body language, look, we all have our flaws, but we try not to come through because this is a professional environment. So work on yourself, whatever your flaw might be. You need to decide. You need to improve. You need to ask questions. Let me know when I'm doing it next so I can work on it better. Things like that. You need to do practice drill for yourself. Whatever it takes, it is a personal problem of yours. You need to overcome that, because at the end of the day, when we're in professional environment, none of that matters to us, right? Because we all have an expectation. It is a part of the job. Smile, make eye contact when speaking, and engage warmly. Don't ever make a person feel like they're talking to a wall or you don't care. Okay? Encourage a culture of mutual respect. I'm sure you want to respect, right? So guess what? The person across from you does too. So just know that what you want, they want that too. So mutual respect by checking in with that person, checking with your team members about their day. Hey, how's your day going? I saw you struggle during lunchtime. Can I help you with some strategies for there? When can I come in? Or let's sit down at this time, something like that. Welcoming parents and families, which is pretty much we talked about, greeting them, acknowledging them, their child with enthusiasm. Use a warm professional tone. Good morning, Miss Johnson, or Mom. We talked about that. If a parent has a concern, do listen to it attentively and write it down into your morning updates and offer reassurance before directing them to the appropriate staff member. Whether you were able to answer the question or not, put it down in that morning update. That is that update email is about. It is not about you telling anyone that how you worked as a team. We are supposed to work as a team, and it's kind of given. I want to see the details. You need to see the details, or want to write down the details that nobody would know unless you put it down. Engaging visitors and tour. Welcome the visitors. Welcome with the tours with a polite introduction. Hi, welcome to Dear One School. My name is RC. How may I help you today? I am sure you are jolly. We're here to give you the tour today, aren't we? And then take it from there. Offer a brief overview of the center and ensure that they would feel comfortable. Hey, should you have any question, let me know, okay? This is my office right here. If conducting a tour, highlight the key areas while maintaining a friendly, informative approach. I did have a assistant director situation in the past. So know that when you're doing the tours, don't overwhelm the visitors. They will not sign up if your tour is about an hour to 2 hours, okay? I understand you got ears to listen to you, but no, please don't. They're not here to hear your stories or hear you yap, but just go ahead. Come on. Let's wrap it up, okay? We got to close it too. You just sold it. You just gave them the tour. Let's sell them. Close the tour, okay? Managing drop-off and pickup. Make sure everybody is in compliance with the drop-off policies as well as cut-off time. And if they're not, then you need to go ahead and let them know. And then again, add that to your morning updates. Be present at all times during departure and arrival time at the front desk. If you are stepping away, let somebody know in the front. Okay. If there's a classroom in the front, let them know so they can say, hey, Miss RC just stepped away. She's in the kitchen. She'll be right back. Something like that. Position staff near entrance to greet families. That is very important. So for you to wander off for a lengthy period of time is not accepted, okay? Share a quick highlight of the child's day at pickup at Foster. I can understand that's something your teacher's supposed to do, but if you've been with the child, then you would have to do that. Or if a child had a rough day and you have a behavior issue form, then you would have to do that. Encourage parents to establish a goodbye routine to ease separation from children. Let them know. I myself, when I have a tough kid, as soon as I'm able to redirect them and they're kind of into it, I would just kind of like whisper and move my mouth out like without going out loud, and I'll just say, Mom, leave. And trust me, that's the building trust and relationship with them, and they would respect that and they would leave because I got their kiddo and they're fine and safe. Just make sure you're being professional at all times, you're being courteous. Reinforce all the policies and welcome atmosphere to your teachers as well. Lead by examples, model warm greetings and positive interactions. That is where you earn the trust. You can't reinforce the policies on your staff, but then you do the other way. It will create a chaotic situation and you will get zero respect. Nobody would like you. I will assure of that. It has happened. So therefore, I'm telling you that let's go ahead and not do what somebody else did, right? Establish clear objectives. Always make sure that you are clear with what you are stating. Provide hands-on demonstration. Ask the teachers how they want to learn. Make sure that they don't learn visual or something like that. Should you have any question, know that you can always reach to your director. You and director are supposed to be a team. Don't ever assume. If your director is multitasking, so should you. One task is for nobody. We are all, including staff, supposed to multitask. At the end of the day, it is a job and it is not anything about personal. We need to all improve and adapt and change. Some of the other things you're responsible for is to make sure that you help your teachers plan and create a classroom environments per TRS, NAC, as well as licensing that supports their learning, social, emotional growth, and language development. If you don't have experience with that because you're new to this position, then you need to get with your director so she can give you samples. She can coach you on this area of expertise. You need to make sure that your director will hire you and will not know exactly which area after giving you the basics that you need to still coaching on. So you need to make that effort. You need to make sure that you raise your hand. Hey, I see that this teacher could really make the environment welcoming and more learning. Something I don't know how to. So is there any way you can coach me on that? Know that you not knowing is not the answer and is why it's not getting done. It's not getting done because you didn't do anything about it, because you didn't ask to be trained on that subject. You have to learn to take responsibility on your part, on that part. Okay. Implement the curriculum. Make sure they are all not just putting it on a piece of paper and turning it in. They're actually implementing it day to day in their classroom. Interact respectfully with the children. They're nurturing the children. They're using the magic words. They're using kind voices. They're actually using name to face, the bright wheel, the communication. They support their social and emotional development. They're getting down to the child's level rather than screaming across the room. Whenever you hear that, what are you doing? Are you staying seated on your chair? No, that's your cue. Get up, go investigate, and coach and teach that teacher that how it can be handled differently. Engage in active play. Make sure that they are offering sensory. Make sure they are actually involved with the children. They're not just giving them blocks and letting them play all day. Frequently interacting with the child's level. TRS requires that all teachers should be interacting throughout the day. So don't just have them like just sit and do their own. I understand independence is one thing, but we need to make sure that we're also doing our part in interacting and letting them know that we're here if they want to talk and appreciate and respect them as well. Provide curiosity-driven learning opportunities in the classroom. Make sure they have good selection of books, equipments, and materials, and inspect those here now and then. Make sure nothing is broken and tell them, teachers, you need to create your classroom more fun and exciting for these kids. Switch the activities around. Not really the furnitures, because when you move a furniture, it probably will break eventually. You need to switch your activities around so that keeps the excitement going. So if you have, like, say, total of 15 math center materials, only put 7 of those out, and then 7 could be rotated the next week. That'll keep the momentum happening, and it's a brand new activity for them. You also are responsible to make sure all the parents are signing their kids in and out. So make sure that you are at the front desk, depending on your hours of shift. Maintain the attendance records for enrolled children. That is one way for you to do that. You also need to make sure that CCMS children for sure are doing this, because it is a requirement not only by licensing but CCMS as well. Otherwise, the center will not get paid and they have used our services for free of charge. We are also supposed to report if they have not signed their kid in and out for 5 days. We're also supposed to report when they do not pay their share of parent fee if they have one for over 5 days. Make sure personal hygiene protocols is always met across the platform, compliance with safety standards, help with meal preparation and distribution if needed, make sure the whole center is clean and organized, Supervise the staff, make sure everybody's in compliance, or give the orientation to new caregivers, give them the basic training so they don't feel like they were thrown in the classroom. Evaluate the caregivers and make sure that the trainings was provided. You kind of like see if they have any questions afterwards and assess them and evaluate them.
Professionalism in the workplace, upholding your organizational values and image, demonstrating the reliability, accountability, maintaining confidentiality, and discretion. We all supposed to do that. Warm, approachable, and professional communication. Like I said in the previous few slides, that how I come across strict. Something to know that you need to be able to have a personality which is easy to talk to. Your tone, attitude, and presence should make your staff, your parents, your visitors, your children feel comfortable approaching you any time of the day. Whatever might be going on in your personal life, make sure that you walk in with positive vibes only. Use warm and inviting body language. Smile, maintain open posture, and make eye contact, creating a welcoming environment. These are people skills. Avoid standoffish or closed off expressions. Neutral or negative body language can discourage communication and create unnecessary tension. And mind you, this might be you, but you might be ruining other person's vibe. You need to make sure that you're always pleasant and happy to help, kind of a vibe at all times. Customer service is part of our job, so know that positive and respectful communication is expected from everyone, with families, staffs, and children at all times. If a teacher is not doing that, you need to take a note of that and then see if you can have a sit down one-on-one with her. Hey, this is what I observed yesterday, and then here's something I need you to work on. Okay. Leadership through communication. As an assistant director, your communication style directly shapes the culture and morale of your center. I've had all sorts of assistant director. Some that wanted to work, some that didn't want to work, and some that wanted to just put it all under the rug. You need to decide which one are you. If you are the one that wants to do the job and he is here for all good reasons, you will be a successful assistant director. Just make sure that you are warm, approachable, and professional at all times.
Assistant directors as culture ambassadors, upholding organizational values and images. You play a critical role in shaping and sustaining our school culture as you model and reinforce our core values on a day-to-day basis with integrity, respect, accountability, professionalism, and consistency in every interaction of yours. Why does this matter? Organization with strong value-driven leadership experience like ours will have the employee engagement, which improves the overall morale of the school. Consistency and consistent leadership behaviors will strengthen the trust, credibility, and public confidence. Whenever the management is not consistent with their accountability, with their trust, the confidence, with anything and everything that you are to follow through in your job description, you will see that your center, your school will not be where it should be. So ask yourself, always do a self-reflect to make sure that you're doing your part. Ethical conduct and professionalism directly also will influence how families, staff, and the community will perceive our program, our management. Our job is to build trust across the board. Demonstrate the values that you want to see in others. You have to demonstrate that yourself. So if a teacher is disrespectful to you, you need to see how you come across to others. If a teacher's not taking your directions, you need to see, did you even bother training that teacher? Things like that. Maintain consistent, ethical decision making on your part. Represent the school positively in all settings, classroom, parent interactions, and community spaces, which pretty much off the premises. So basically, if you're going to a grocery store and you run into Johnny's parents, you need to make sure that you are dressed appropriate. Well, not necessarily that you need to be in, your work clothes, but I'm saying that it shouldn't be vulgar because you can run across just about anybody, and first impression is last impression. You want to make sure that they can see you professional again when they see you back in the school, okay? You need to make sure your language, you're not fighting out in the parking lot, things like that. You're well behaved inside and out, regardless of the areas of your life. Reinforce the expectations through your tone, your actions, and follow through. Reliability and accountability and leadership trust. Reliability and accountability are the two most important traits of an assistant director. When we say we're going to do something, we're following through. When responsibilities are assigned, we met them fully and on time. The consistency builds trust, not just the leadership, but with staff, families, and each other. Studies show that high quality accountability cultures reduces errors by 40% and is a huge impact on safety, quality, and operational stability. When we demonstrate reliability, showing up prepared, meeting deadlines, and following through, we strengthen trust across departments. People know they can count on us. That trust is what allows us to lead confidently and makes decisions that moves the school forward. To be honest with you, this is what I really go by. And that is where I feel confident in coaching you, teaching you, and holding you accountable day-to-day basis. It's not about blame, it's about ownership. Reliability isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. When we model these traits, we set the standard for the entire team and reinforce the culture of professionalism and excellence at Day Ones. Maintaining confidentiality and discretion. When we talk about confidentiality, we're talking about one of the most critical responsibilities we all have in our roles. That goes from top to the bottom, bottom to the top, okay? We handle sensitive information on a day-to-day basis, and family details, employee records, internal decisions, financial data, and operational plans. Even the write-ups, oh Lord, the gossips, the personal information that one staff may leak. How we protect that information directly does impact the trust families and staff places in us. So when you're in this job, you know you have no excuse but to do better. Say if you are stepping down or stepping up, that responsibility still is there. Make sure you maintain that. Effective handling of privileged information is not optional. It is a core leadership expectation and a requirement. Confidentiality protects the client data, trade secrets, personal records of your school. A single breach can damage any relationship, harms the school's reputation, and create illegal consequences for you and I both. Our job is to safeguard information with the highest level of professionalism at all times. Turn those paper down. You're walking away from desk. You don't want somebody peeking. Now, if they still went ahead and turned around, looked into your files, now that is on them because that's crossing boundaries. In many settings, compliance with laws like our licensing, our school policies is mandatory. Even when these specific laws don't apply, the principle behind them is absolutely do protect personal data, limit access, ensure secure handling. We must understand what information is sensitive, who is authorized to access it, and how it must be stored and communicated. If you don't have those answers, please talk to your director. Training in data security and ethical discretion is essential. It also helps us recognize risk, prevent mistakes, respond appropriately. Confidentiality is a leadership behavior. It shows maturity on your part, integrity, and respect for the people you are serving. When we protect sensitive information consistently and intentionally, we are strengthening our culture of trust that Dear One Schools depends on. If a parent or staff member is violating this, you are to pull them in your office. You need to talk to them privately, confidently. You need to involve your directors into it and let them take the lead if needed to. And let them know, I understand that. If we can please drop it, this is one of our policies. If you can please move on with it, confidentiality. Respect for staff and superiors. Fostering a positive and inclusive environment. Leadership and psychological safety. When we talk about creating an inclusive workplace, we're talking about building an environment where every staff members feel valued, respected, and able to contribute. Inclusion isn't just about moral responsibility. It directly impacts the innovation, teamwork, and overall well-being of every person. When people feel included, they'll do their best, they'll give their best ideas, and they'll do their best in the classroom. Assistant director will play the major role in shaping that culture. When we, through our language, our decision, our daily interaction, will help reduce that turnover, increase that team creativity, involve them, switch places for a day if you need to. Go in the classroom, be involved, set examples. Inclusion doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentional actions, diversity trainings, helps broaden that awareness and reduces bias. Psychological safety is the foundation of an inclusive workplace. It means people will feel safe to speak up, have a connection with you, ask questions, admit their mistakes, and share ideas without fear of judgment or retaliation. When psychological safety is present, team will collaborate more effectively and solve problems faster. If it's missing, the communication will be shutting down and innovation will suffer. Inclusion is leadership, and when we model respect, fairness, and openness across the board, we create that workplace where people will feel safe, supported, and empowered. We build a culture that attracts great talent, retains it, and helps everyone thrive at the end. Effective communication and active listening. Two-way communication does matter. You need to know and understand the importance of it. Communication isn't just about giving information, it's about creating the understanding between two people. As a director, we have to excel in two-way communication. It is required by the job. That means we speak clearly, we listen actively, we allow the other person to speak, we respond with empathy. When communication is strong, the entire team will feel more aligned, supported, and confident. Most workplace issues don't come from bad intentions, they come from unclear communications. And we all know that they do exist, don't they? When we communicate effectively, we will reduce misunderstandings, prevent unnecessary conflicts, and make collaboration smoother. Strong communication directly boosts morale and makes people feel heard and valued. Active listening is one of the most important leadership skills, and reflective feedback, repeating back what you heard, helps also confirm that understanding. Pay attention to those nonverbal cues, which will also show staff that you're fully present. These techniques build trust and make conflict resolution easier because people feel respected. Communication skills training has been shown to improve team productivity. It's because when communication is clear, people will waste less time clarifying, correcting, gossiping, or guessing. Teams become more efficient, more connected, and more resilient. It's a leadership skill. When we communicate with clarity, responsiveness, and empathy, we create a culture where people feel supported and motivated. One of the most powerful tools we have to influence the success of our school with strong communication. Constructive feedback and conflict resolution. That is the major part of our job, both director, assistant director, even executives. When we give constructive feedback, our original and utmost priority is the growth, not criticism. Feedback will help any individual understand what's working and what needs improvement and how they can move forward from there. If they take it personally, know that this is the motto we go by, this is the mission we go by, it is their personal that needs to be worked on by themselves because our intentions are never to insult them. When it is delivered well, it strengthens and motivation instead of damaging it. As assistant director, our ability to give clear, respectful feedback directly will impact the quality of our classroom and professionalism in our team. Conflict is inevitable in any workplace. It's going to happen, okay? We all, first of all females, full of dramas, okay? But how we handle it determines whether it becomes destructive or productive. Assistant directors who are skilled in conflict resolution help create a calmer, more harmonious environment. But if you don't have the skill, to be honest with you, then that's not okay. You need to work on that, okay? It's a requirement that you should be able to have problem-solving skills for this job. So there are fewer misunderstandings and more stable team. One of the most important techniques is focusing on the behavior, not the person. This keeps the conversation objective and reduces the defensiveness. Addressing issues in a timely manner prevents small problems from becoming bigger ones, and fostering mutual respect ensures that even difficult conversations feel safe and professional. These techniques will help us resolve any issues quickly and fairly. Whenever there's a conflict and they're managed well, teams will become more resilient. People feel heard, they feel supported and respected. Productivity will also increase, and because energy isn't being drained by tension or unresolved issues. A well-managed conflict can actually strengthen relationship and improve communication. Our approach sets the tone for how the entire team communicates and collaborates together. Respectful leadership and positive professionalism. When we talk about respect for leadership, we're not talking about hierarchy. We are talking about alignment. Assistant directors are expected to support leadership decisions, follow guidance, be teachable with them, and communicate in a way that reflects unity, not separations. Respect shows in how you respond to directions, how you handle challenges, and how you collaborate with the rest of your leadership team. When you model respect, staff will feel secure and understand the expectations are consistent. They will respect you. Every shift will begin with the energy that we all bring into the building. When we walk in with positivity and professionalism, we set that emotional tone for the entire team and expect that in return. Staff takes our cues from us. If we show up calm, constructive, and solution oriented, it'll motivate others to do the same. I utilize that even in write ups. I treat them as a respectful way of giving them constructive criticism rather than insult. It'll reduce the stress, prevent unnecessary conflict, and create a better environment for both the employees and families. As a leader, we are always being watched. Yes, they're watching. They're probably eavesdropping too, whether we realize it or not. Our reactions, our tone, our body language, and our attitude does become the example that others follow. If we want a respectful, professional, positive culture, it has to start with us. If you haven't started to start now, it's not late. Our behavior is the model, not only for children, but for our staff, for our culture, for our community. Everything we do, how we speak, how we respond, how we carry ourselves, reinforces the culture and values of Dear Ones. When we, you and I, stay respectful, professional, and positive, we can only then strengthen the environment we want for our children, our families, and our staff. This is how we'll build this trust and consistency across the school. Remember, we're all on the same team. We're not separate. We all have certain expectations and guidelines to go by. So know that rules are there for all of us to follow. It's not just for one. No one can be your cheerleader but you, and yourself alone, you. Sometimes I feel, or people around me gives me the feel that I am their cheerleader. So if they came in with frown face, if I'm running into them in frown face, they're not happy to be here, they're not excited to be here, they're tired, they had a long day, they have family issues, their car's not working. Whatever the excuse might be, I'm not your cheerleader. I have my own problems, I have my own issues, I have my own car troubles, yada yada yada. I come in and I become my own cheerleader. I make sure I come in prepared and I'm ready to work in the most positive professional way possible. Take pride in your work and show up with the confidence that you need to. Don't wait for somebody else to cheer you up. Why? That's not their job. You're not paying them for it. When we talk about taking pride in our work, we're talking about ownership. You set the tone by showing up prepared, composed, and confident, and you're setting the example for staff. When we walk into a room with intention, we feel it. Staff feel it. I feel it. Parents feel it. Children feel it. How do you not feel it? Families feel it. Pride isn't about perfection. It's about caring enough to do things well and consistently. Lead yourself first before leading others. You're in a position that needs to be, it requires you to lead others. So know that you got to lead yourself first. You cannot lead others with the same expectation that you have not met yourself. That is absolutely not fair. This is one of the most important leadership principles. We cannot expect staff to be organized, calm, or accountable if we're not modeling those behaviors ourselves. Leadership starts with self-management, your attitude, my attitude, our follow-through, our professionalism. When we lead ourselves well, we earn the right to lead others. Have you earned it today? Bring positivity into every shift. Positivity doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means choosing how we show up and, thrive through those challenges. Our energy influences the entire building. When we bring positivity, we create stability. We help staff feel supported. We help children feel safe. A positive leader can shift the tone of a classroom or a half of the classroom in seconds. Where a negative person can also do the same, but it's going to have negative impact. As assistant directors, our attitude becomes the baseline for everyone else. If we're calm, the team will be calm. If we are solution oriented, the team becomes solution oriented. And if we're frustrated or inconsistent, the team will mirror that too. And our attitude is one of the most powerful leadership tools we have. The 4 behaviors that I can tell you, pride, self-leadership, positivity, and tone settings, they aren't optional. They're daily expectations. When you will model them consistently, you're building a culture that feels stable and supportive for everyone. Compliance and ethical standards. Organizational policies and regulations. When we talk about our compliance, we're talking about protecting the organization legally, ethically, and operationally. It's not a choice, it's required. Compliance will ensure that we operate within the boundaries of labor law, financial regulation, licensing standards, industry expectations. It'll minimize the risk, prevent liabilities, and keep our schools safe and reputable. This is why we reinforce it day-to-day basis. As an assistant directors, we're the ones who reinforce the policies consistently. If you're not doing it, start immediately. That means making sure every staff follows all procedures documented accurately and addressing issues immediately, not later. Our job is to uphold the standards that keeps the school in good standing. When we model compliance, the team understands that expectations are not negotiable. Know that you are as much responsible as your director to hold everyone accountable and reinforce the policies. Don't wait for director to do something about it. It seems like as if at times assistant directors, person in charge, staff even don't want to do the bad job or be the bad guy. No, this is not just for director. We all need to be implying that. Consistency and consistent policy adherence reduces the incidents by more than 40%. That's a major impact, guys. Fewer incidents mean fewer injuries and fewer parent concerns, fewer licensing issues, and fewer operational disruptions. So why not? Compliance isn't just paperwork. It is a direct contributor to safety, stability, and trust that we need to provide in our school on a daily basis. Regular training will also help you with that. Audits, walkthroughs, make sure you're in the hallway. Don't just stay in your office. Help them stay aligned. These tools catch gaps early, so if a teacher is not doing job here, guide her, catch it before something major happens. Reinforce expectations before your problem even happens. Even attendance, bring them in the first time they called in. I need to make sure that true emergencies are the only one that exception. You need to make sure that you are utilizing weekends for whatever the emergencies, whatever the other issues that you've got going on. It has nothing to do with the work. We have hired you for certain hours, and those hours needs to be met by you. Compliance is not a one-time task. It's an ongoing practice that requires your attention as an administrator, follow through, and accountability. Compliance is a leadership. When we enforce policies consistently and fairly across the board, we are technically protecting the school, the staff, and the children. We're also passing on the good habit of them to be consistent with the policies in the classroom. It's one of the clearest way we can demonstrate to our staff professionalism, responsibility, and integrity. It starts from you. It starts from the top. Promoting ethical decision making. When we talk about ethics, we're talking about the foundation of our integrity, our school's integrity. Ethical decision isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about building the long-term trust with family, staff, and the community. And every choice we make, big or small, contributes to that, to the reputation and stability of our school. As an assistant director, we set the tone for transparency, fairness, and accountability. Staff watches how we make those decisions. You may not notice that. They do. How we communicate and how we handle difficult situations. When we lead ethically, we create a culture where people feel safe, respected, and treated consistently. Rules has to be same for everyone. Follow the handbooks. This is why it's there. For somebody you like, somebody you prefer over the other, you can't change the rule and bend the rules. Ethical framework and codes of conduct are tools that help us navigate dilemmas. They give a structure when situations are unclear or emotionally charged. Instead of reacting, we step back, evaluate options, and choose the path that aligns with our values and responsibilities. Don't hesitate to say, give me a minute or give me a day to look into it and let me get back to you so you can make that ethical decision. Companies that emphasize ethics outperform their peers by about 10% in customer loyalty and employee retention. Ethics must be visible in our daily actions. It's not like pick and choose kind of a thing. When we model fairness, honesty, and accountability, we will strengthen our school, our organization. Ethical leadership will build the trust, reduces conflict, and support long-term success with overall performance. Let's talk about safety and compliance in leadership. So, why do you think a safe work environment matters? When we talk about safety, it starts from us. We're not just talking about compliance altogether. We're talking about protecting people. That includes us. A safe work environment shields employees from hazards, reduces risks, and ensures we meet OSHA and state licensing requirement. Safety is not optional. It is foundational to a high quality program. So next time when you let that teacher walk in flip-flops, literally flip-flops as if she's on the beach, stop her because she is now protecting herself. She needs to make sure she protects herself every time in every single case. If that teacher walks in, she's going to slip. She's going to um, actually cause a trip hazard to herself with those flip-flops because our job entails is to work and run after these kids. We need to make sure we are working and dressing up to be safe in a safe environment. An assistant director was responsible for overseeing these safety protocols and conduct a risk assessment and ensuring incident reports are also completely accurately and are on time every time. For licensing, they have to be signed by parents and turned in within 24 hours. It is for children, so children can't walk in flip-flops. We have a proper dress code for them as well. They are dressed weather appropriate and all those. Educating your parents and your staff for their own safety is also part of our job. Our leadership will set the tone. If we take the safety seriously, the team will too. If you constantly remind a teacher, she will probably remind the next teacher or the child or the parent. If we are inconsistent, the team will also become inconsistent. Organization with strong safety programs will have 50% fewer workplace injuries. And that's not just a statistic. It represents fewer disruptions, fewer staff shortages, fewer parent concerns, and lower operational costs. Safety is both moral responsibility and a smart operational strategy. Ongoing safety can also be done and handled by you or the director, which trainings can keep safe staff confident and prepared, which will also reinforce the expectations, reduces the error, and ensures everyone know how to respond if there is an emergency. When the staff will feel safe and supported, they will become better and communicate better and stay longer. Safety is leadership when we prioritize it. We don't just say, try to be safe. We protect our people, our children, and our school's reputation. It's one of the clearest ways we demonstrate accountability and care at Dear Ones. Task management and multitasking skills. Prioritizing assignments and meeting deadlines. In state of Texas, the childcare that we work for, we're already wearing multiple hats. Sometimes our task list is one that we create, sometimes the one that is required of on daily basis, and then sometimes the tasks that are just starting to pile up before we even walk into the door. So why prioritization matters? When we talk about prioritization, we're really talking about making sure the most critical tasks receive the attention that they deserve. That is how I personally choose to work. So that way they're out the way. So now I can go ahead and start going back down with the rest of the priority tasks. And slowly but surely, I'll have that list done before I leave for the day and or the week. As assistant director, we juggle operations, staff support, compliance, parent communication, unexpected issues. Never know that you're in this alone. A teacher has multiple tasks. She has to multitask every day in her classroom. Your director has more hats than you have. So know that it is part of the job, it is part of what you sign up for, and then you will get there with practice. So giving up will definitely not help you. Without your intentional prioritization, everything will feel urgent and nothing will get done. It has been proven, so make sure you don't make that mistake. Prioritizing helps us use our time, energy, and resources wisely so we can deliver the best outcomes for children and families and staff. And it will also help you not get overwhelmed. Remember, It is a personal concern. It is a personal area of growth that you need to work on. One of the most effective tools in our field that we use is the calendars. That helps me stay on task, all the deadlines, all the appointments. I also utilize Note, which I put my to-do tasks to. It'll also help me separate what's urgent from what's truly important. It will prevent me from spending my entire day putting out fires instead. And Digital Planner can help you in scheduling tools such as maybe writing down in a notebook or something. I refrain from using sticky notes because then the last thing you want to do in front of somebody or even alone. Where is that pink sticky note I wrote something on, right? You want to make sure that you are creating a structure so we're not relying on your memory or reacting moment to moment. When we prioritize effectively, we will meet the deadlines and we will communicate proactively, and we prevent delays that can impact licensing, parent satisfaction, or staff performance. Prioritization isn't just a productivity skill, it's a leadership skill. When we model it, our team will follow. It creates clarity, reduces stress, and helps everyone stay aligned on what matters the most. Delegation and team capacity. Delegation will expand leadership capacity by assigning responsibility based on staff strength and competencies. This is where I utilize the time when teacher is done early with her shift and everything else that is on her to-do list. I would maybe say, hey, can you shred these papers before you go? Or can you go ahead and hand this to or post this on that wall for me before you go? Or can you go ahead and make sure all the labels are in your classroom? That is getting your task done. Those were not really my priority, even though they are on my to-do list. But if I ask somebody else to help me with that, there's nothing wrong in that as long as the task gets done. If it's confidential, obviously I will go ahead and leave that just on myself. It also will empower my team, show them the higher respect and engagement, ownership, and innovation. Proper delegation reduces the burnout for leaders and distributes workload more sustainably. It never says that you are the one who needs to do it. Now, you can't hire a person as an assistant for you to do a task, but see where a teacher can be in ratio, and then you can take the other teacher out to help you out with certain tasks. That is absolutely okay. Catch up on the areas that you have always been lacking to do. Effective delegation fosters your leadership development among staff and strengthen your succession planning. When we delegate effectively, we're not just handing off tasks, we're building capacity. It allows our assistant directors and directors to focus on the other responsibilities while giving staff meaningful opportunities of growth. When your responsibilities are matched to people's strengths, the entire team becomes one capable and confident team. Teams that feel trusted and empowerment shows higher engagement and creativity. Delegation is a leadership skill. It is not a shortcut. It requires clarity, trust, and follow through. Let's discuss continuous improvement and professional growth. When you stop this, you stop everything. And that's where this stops the growth of school. Continuous learning and professional growth in childcare is very important and is actually required by licensing. Staying current matters. So basically, you need to know how you need to be informed, stay updated with all the changes, technologies, industry standards, and all of that. There shall be no excuses when licensing visits you and say, I didn't know. They don't care. They do their part. You need to know, do your part. There's no excuses for your directors. If they can stay informed, you can too. Assistant directors who stay updated are better equipped to lead innovation and support high quality program practices. Your participation and basically being awake and involved in training, network conferences, and certification program will strengthen your leadership. No one else. Ongoing learning will also empower your areas to guide team confidently, introduce best practices effectively. The power of mentorship and leadership. It's not an insult. Not everybody has all the answers. Not everybody knows everything. As long as you go with that concept, you probably are teachable. Mentorship matters. Majority of the times you can see that assistant director only wants to maybe sit down whenever there's a fun conversation, but not really to mentor. You know what you're stopping? you're stopping your growth. Mentorship will support your talent development, knowledge transfer, and long-term career growth. In simple English, I would say something I learned growing up. What I know, I already know that. But what I can learn from you won't happen if I don't allow you to give it to me. Now, say if the information is not so great and probably is wrong, then it's up to me if I want to utilize it or not. But at least I got the information. Okay? Assistant directors who mentor actively will build stronger, more confident teams. They will also enhance their skills. Program with structured mentorship will see at least minimum of 18% reduction in staff turnover. It is not just your director's responsibility. If you think you're going to just do all the good things, you're not going to hold anyone accountable, you don't want to be teachable, you don't want to expand your growth so you don't have to do more. No, that is not how that works. Mentorship strengthens team stability, improves retention, and supports consistent classroom quality. When there's no growth, there's no financial growth either. I'm just going to be honest with you, because school's not going to grow. And if school is growing because one or the other person is doing great, but you are not, then there's still no growth for you. So just know that it can be seen in your performance. Personalized coaching helps individual reach their full potential and feel valued. That is if you're open to the coaching. Mentors refine their leadership, communication, and coaching skills. Mentees will gain confidence, clarity, and professional direction, and mentorship reinforces the organizational culture and strengthens your alignment across the classrooms. Fostering accountability and growth. Accountability, teachability, and openness to growth is very important for all of us. Accountability will build the trust among teachers, staff, and parents, where your accountability ensures that individuals will take responsibility for their actions and outcomes. It will strengthen the credibility, and it also makes sure that we are consistent across the organization. What we say in our handbooks is being followed. It's not just there because I was bored one day and I decided to write a story. When accountability is avoided to protect anyone's feelings, for example, I didn't want to write her because it gives me anxiety. That's your feelings. Or I didn't write her up because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I feel sorry for her. You're protecting that staff's feelings. It will ultimately harm you as administrator, school, the team, and the children. So at the end of the day, you're allowing that one person's mistakes and you not holding them accountable, your mistakes, and it's going to go against everyone. That is definitely not fair, and that is hurting everyone's feelings. So think about that next time. Many administrators hesitate to hold others accountable, but with this avoidance, it can lead the situation to bigger issues and declining standards and loss of trust. And to be honest with you, the school can even close. Being teachable. When teachable leaders actively seek knowledge and adapt quickly, they will set that example for the teacher, and they will not be afraid to hold them accountable. They will not be afraid to invest in them and training and coaching them. Make sure that you're open to learn from them and ask them to do the same. Welcoming constructive criticism enhances the performance of teachers and professional growth. Don't take that away from them. Openness encourages a positive growth-oriented culture when improvement is normal and expected. It builds trust between you and your staff. It builds relationship. Leaders who model reflection and adjustment inspire their teams to do the same. Make sure you have a professional relationship with your staff, a comfortable one, where you do not cross your boundaries. Don't tell your personal things. You need to make sure that you're professionally building the relationship, where you can coach them, train them, hold them accountable. Accountability, teachability, and openness to growth. Know that accountability does matter, because if I didn't hold you accountable, if licensing didn't hold me accountable, we wouldn't go very much far. We wouldn't improve. We wouldn't see growth ever in our life. Accountability also builds trust by ensuring that we will take the responsibility for our actions and outcomes, that we are willing to learn and grow. When leaders own their decisions, say if I make a mistake and I own my mistake, it strengthens my credibility and it sets the tone for the entire team. Where if I am to come and hold you accountable, or even just not hold you accountable, but just like, hey, don't do that. Let's go sit in the office. Let's go talk about it. Don't get emotional. Don't take it personal. I'm not picking on you. That is not my job. Do you know how much energy is wasted in that? My job is to coach you so you know it for next time. How else am I supposed to coach you? If I did not stop you when I see that this is the area you need to learn and improve, how else would you learn? And then you want to be a visual, so that's a perfect example. So be teachable for me. It is not personal. Teaching leaders actively seek knowledge, adapt quickly, and remain open to learning from others. So when you shut that door, you're saying that you are not actively seeking the knowledge and you're not willing to adapt. You're not willing to grow. And with that, you're probably starting to close the doors for these staff, these children, and our schools. Teachability signals humility, growth mindset, and readiness to evolve with the organization's need. Now, say if you are one of those people that wants to put your personal life into it, say, I went through a lot and this is who I am. And I think I'm trying to do my best, but I don't know what else to do. Or any other given excuses that I've heard in the past or whatnot, or whatever that you might even give me. I'm just trying to say this is a job. We have a job that has guidelines, strict expectations. I'm willing to teach, but everything else is common sense. So you need to see how you can overcome those obstacles that are in your personal growth. Okay. That's a boundary that I'd rather not cross. So please make sure that you understand that you have to learn how to be teachable and not take things personal. Because when you're doing that, how can you go to another staff member and expect them to be teachable for you? You have to lead them by examples, because they can also come at you for being held accountable, and then you don't know how to overcome that. So once you have done that for yourself, only then you can guide them. Openness to constructive feedback is also very much important. Welcoming constructive criticism will enhance your performance and support continuous improvement. Openness to feedback encourages a positive growth-oriented culture where everyone feels safe to learn and improve. Team will thrive when leaders model reflection, adjustment, and professional maturity. This is something I offer. Do you? As we wrap this up, it's important to recognize just how broad and meaningful your role truly is. You're not just supervising operations, you're shaping the culture of Dear Ones, modeling professionalism, and setting the tone for our entire school. Every decision you will be making and every interaction you will have, it will contribute to the environment our staff, families, and children will experience. Professionalism isn't limited to policies and procedures. It shows up in how you communicate, how you carry yourself, and how you treat others around you. Respect must be consistent and visible. That includes respect for your superiors, for parents, for visitors, for every staff members and children you interact with. When you model respect, you'll reinforce the values that defines Dear Ones. Upholding the ethical standard is also non-negotiable. It protects the organization, strengthens our trust, and ensures we operate the integrity. But ethics alone aren't going to be enough for you. We also have to be committed to continuous improvement. That means you need to be teachable, stay open to the constructive criticism, and view feedback as an opportunity to grow rather than a personal attack. When assistant directors embrace accountability, owning their responsibilities, following through, communicating clearly, it elevates the entire organization. Your growth directly contributes to the school's success, but your personal as well. When you lead with integrity, reliability, and humility, you are creating a culture where others will feel safe to do the same. Ultimately, embracing these principles, professionalism, respect, teachability, ethical decision-making, and accountability will empower you to lead with confidence and effectiveness. This is how you build trust, strengthen your team, and help Dear Ones thrive. Leadership isn't a title, it's a daily practice, and when you commit to these expectations, you elevate not just yourself, but everyone around you. So let's stop using excuses. Let's together thrive, grow up, learn, adapt, and change to become a team.